I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, April the 14th, brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. I've been telling you guys here for the last year or so that these LRP policies, the Livestock Risk Protection policies, are the best way to protect your risk whenever you're, even if you're a cow-calf producer raising calves. You can get a policy on the sale of your calves, especially for you backgrounders, buying those lighter weights and growing them up into feeder cattle. But also, fat cattle sellers too. They think the only way they can protect their risk is through a hedge or buying an option or something like that on the CME. But these LRP policies, especially for smaller producers, even for larger producers, but especially for smaller producers, they're a better idea and a lot easier. You don't have to square your loads up, and you can get in touch with some of these professionals that are been doing this ever since this program started, and this program is helped out through the government. They kick in and can help with your premiums up to 30-35% of the cost of that premium. It is an absolute no-brainer to do that, when you guys have liked to have done that several months ago and be looking forward to knowing that you were going to get $1.80 for your yearlings off grass. We may end up getting that again, but it doesn't seem as likely now. But get a hold of Livestock Risk Services. Got several locations there in the central part of the U.S. For your LRPs. Producers exiting the business, and that is what we absolutely can't stand. And that's the way I judge everything that comes along, every kind of a bill that comes along, or every kind of an issue that comes along. I never meant to be involved in any of the politics of the cattle business. I just was here to report the markets and to support and promote your auction sales and things like that. But it's just getting to where it's politics just like any other business, because we've got these things coming down the pike. We've got these haters. We've got a complete monopoly that rules over our industry at the top side. And so we've got to get into some of these kind of things if we want this industry to continue. But we've lost, and it's been well publicized, we've lost a lot of our smaller feed yards over the last several years. We've lost more of our cow-calf producers. Now some of them are selling out to larger cow-calf producers, but we're losing a lot of our smaller producers. And what are the reasons? Well, it hasn't been real profitable. So that's one reason, and it does take up a considerable amount of their time. Most of our smaller producers, and especially in the southeast, are getting older, and so they're just think, gosh, why do I have to beat my brains out every day doing this stuff? I don't have the equipment, I don't have the facilities to do it. I can't find anybody to help me do it. I can't find anybody that knows anything about cattle to help me out with them. So I'm just throwing in the towel. There's more rules and regulations coming in all the time. The urban sprawl continues to take up a lot of our grassland that's suitable to turn cattle out. The drought that we've had in the plains especially has taken a lot of producers completely out, and especially up in the Dakotas and even in parts of Nebraska, but Montana and the areas around, they're seeing guys bring in all their cows and they're just throwing their hands up. And they said, I can lease my country out for hunting and things like that, and I don't have to keep doing this. I don't have to keep fighting it. And now that we've seen our slaughter cow market get up to over $1 on some of these high dressing boning cows, gosh, it seems like a no-brainer just to sell out. But the hell of it is, we love it so much, we want to keep doing it. But everybody wants to be a cowboy so long, but they get tired of fighting it after a while, and they can just live out their dreams in the old cowboy movies if they want to. But tell you what, we're losing people in this business, And if we don't get something done, it's going to get progressively worse, a lot worse. But we're bound to lose some more producers over this blizzard that's happening up in the northern plains right now. As bad as they need the moisture, and I've talked to them up there, it's really wet snow that they're getting. It's hard to handle, but it's really wet. It's going to be great and could save them as far as getting some moisture in those pastures up there. But my gosh, for the short term, it's going to be tough. Likely going to kill a lot of newborn calves there. They just don't have enough places to put them, and then hard to get that many cattle completely out of it. You really can't just lock them up inside. They'll get sicker than a dog if you do that. But I talked to a friend of mine, John Fisher, that works with Stockman's Livestock up there in Dickinson, North Dakota, and he shared some pictures with me. He was going out to check his cows, and you could just see, and the really deep snow had not even gotten to them yet. The really deep snow was still in eastern Montana, and a lot of them had already gotten 20 inches and looked like they were going to get another half a foot at least in some of those spots. But the wind just blowing so hard, whiteout conditions there, miserable trying to get those cattle taken care of. And people are just tired of fighting it. Whenever you see your packers, making 4, 5, 10 times what you're making, and you're working year round, and they're owning those cattle for just a few days or a couple of weeks, it's disheartening. And it gets people to beat down where they don't want to do it anymore. We've got to get this Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act pushed through. Is it a guarantee that we're going to get better prices? No, but it is going to secure our negotiated trade at least the levels that it's at right now, and then they're going to be working them forward. And I see people on social media and in interviews and other things, people that know, that are fighting against this. And like I said, I can't imagine anybody fighting against this that loves this industry, but people that are actually in the know, people that work closely with RCAF or National Corporate Beef Association, and they're spreading lies about the bill. They're saying, well, government's going to set it, and they're going to tell us, how many cattle we're going to sell and how we're going to sell our cattle. That is bullshit. No, it's not. It is going to hold the negotiated levels where, albeit as low as they are, where they're at right now, and then give the USDA 2 years to hire an economist to come in there and see for sure where they think robust levels need to be, and then adjust the minimums higher. So the minimums will be higher. That does not a lock on how many cattle have to sell negotiated or any other way. It's just going to raise the minimums higher. That would be the basement. That would be the floor. So quit telling people, oh, it's going to, and then I heard another interview where they said, well, it's going to force our producers or force our cattle feeders to do this. It's not going to force them to do anything. The onus is all on the packer. It's all on the packer. Now, will your cattle feeders have to step up to the plate and ask more for their cattle if they want to sell them higher? Yeah, they might have to do that. That's the way the world goes round. And that's the way it always was for 100 years when we had fully negotiated sales ruling our market and our price discovery. But don't go in there and change the narrative and try to spread lies about this bill to scare people from supporting it. No, it will absolutely save the industry. If we do not stop this bleeding of our negotiated trade, we're going to be exactly like the hog industry. So they took all the negotiated trade away from your hog industry in their mid-90s, and then at 1998, your pork processors put the hog market to 8 cents a pound, and your cost of gain, or your cost of production, was in the low 30s. So there you were. Everybody went broke. There was nothing we could do about it. We're trying to prevent this, people. And I'm trying to preserve the way of life that we all love. Trying to preserve our sale barns. So, whenever I came to Missouri to be supervisor of the federal state grading and marketing group there with Federal State Market News and Grading Service in Missouri. I came in 2000. So in 2000, there were no big feeder pig sales left in Missouri. Up until the mid-90s, there were several big feeder pig sales left in the state, especially in the southern part down by Arkansas. We had full-time feeder pig graders to manage the numbers of pigs that we were getting and put them into like groups where they sold better. By the time I got there in 2000, we weren't grading pigs anymore. So it happened in 3 to 5 years. We lost all that. No more feeder pig auctions, guys. It could happen in the cattle industry. If you guys think that this is not serious and we do not need to take this perfect golden opportunity to get this bill passed and preserve this way of life, you're kidding yourself. I want to show you this video, and I want you guys to watch this. It's from Chase County Elementary Schools. They're from Strong City, Kansas, and every year they get 2 bucket calves or baby calves, and the schools, the elementary school kids there, which is not a big school, but they will take turns taking care of these baby calves. Every day 2 kids will take care of them, and they raise those calves up there, and then they get people to donate feed and milk and the things that they need to take care of those calves, and the community gets behind it. And then once a year in the spring, they'll get somebody to haul those calves over to Emporia Sales in Emporia, Kansas for them. And then Brody and Vic Peak will sell those calves for them. And then they take that money and they put it back for something positive for those kids to go on a field trip or do something that's educational and fun for them. Now watch this, and you see that the little girl there at the left of your screen, she's there with her dad. She helped take care of the heifer calf. These kids know the difference between boys and girls. They know the difference between the steer and the heifer. They get a steer and a heifer calf every year. They know what the heifer calf can become. They know that can be a mother cow someday. And that little girl was in love with that heifer calf, talked her dad into buying that heifer calf to put it with their cow herd. And her classmates were just tickled to death. If you don't think that that is something great, and you can't see the value in maintaining this as a way of life, rural life, for people to raise their children up in, I tell you what, you're not seeing it. I feel like most of you Feeder Flash gang members can see this and realize how important this is to maintain that. But those of you that don't, get out of the way and let us get something done here. But let's talk about your board in the middle of the week there. April live cattle futures up 67 cents on Wednesday to end the day at 140.62. June was up 57 cents at 136.87. Go on your back months, your live cattle up 35 cents to up $1. Pretty darn good, and grains have been higher all along, which I realize your fat cattle are done with grains, but it's been pulling them down the last few months, but been pretty good. Of course, all of our commodities have been pretty good this week. April feeder cattle up 80 cents in the face of higher grains again to end the day at 158.55. May up $1.02, it's 161.95. Your back months on your feeder cattle up 30 cents to up 67. Look at your grains. Corn was up 7 1/4 cents, ending regular trading at 783.5 on Wednesday. Beans are up 5 3/4 cents, closing at 16.76. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 11 3/4 cents, inching closer to that $12 a bushel, ending regular trading at 11.74. Your fat cattle trade just continued. We've had a great fat cattle market this week. We've gained big bucks. I mean, $1 to $2 higher live in Iowa, $3 to $4 higher in Nebraska live basis. Dress sales $3 to $5 higher, fully $1 higher in the Southern Plains. Why does that happen? Because our regional packers have come into areas and started bidding on the cattle and bidding the cattle up. I'm on text groups with several guys, and it's just like an auction almost. One guy, hey, I got bid 142. Another guy, I got bid 143. Another guy, I got bid 144. Another guy, I sold at 145. And everybody else is clapping and putting emojis about how great it is. We've got to preserve that negotiated trade. If we don't get that, it'll just be whatever the Packers want to give until everybody has got into a sweetheart deal, formula deal, or an AMA, as they like to call it, which promises all your cattle to one packer and completely eliminates competition. Everybody will be a contract grower. Nobody will know what the cattle market is, and nobody will give a shit. Talk about your fat cattle trade on Wednesday. And we've had trade every day this week. Nebraska sold cattle on Monday. We've had trade every day, and it's been progressively higher. Could get a little higher yet, as we were afraid we weren't ever going to get any benefit out of this tightness of market-ready numbers before we see a swelling of our show list coming up here in a few weeks. But we are seeing that, and it's happening right now. Iowa had 5,800 head confirmed on Wednesday, 22,700 head for the week. Live sales 142 to 145. Like I said, 1 to 2 higher. Dress sales 224 to 230. We hadn't seen that. Nebraska 6,600 on Wednesday, 29,500 for the week. 142 to 144. That's $3 to $4 higher live basis trade in Nebraska compared to last week. Dress sales 222 to 231. That's $3 to $5 higher. Dress trade in Nebraska. Kansas another 1,500, almost 20,000 for the week. All at 139. That's all fully $1 higher, and they're not nearly as tight on market ready supplies in the southern plains as they are in the northern plains, but still gaining ground as we're seeing guys go down in there and dip into them, even though our trucking rates are a bunch higher because of this fuel that's just gotten out of hand. But Texas 2,400 head on Wednesday, about 7,400 head so far for the week. 139 is the price there. We're well over 80,000 head traded, negotiated, confirmed, and there'll be some more late sales on Wednesday that'll come in here today, and then we'll likely have more trade on Thursday and maybe a little more on Friday. And I'm telling you, when the market's good, when people are negotiating and the market's higher, that's what makes everything roll, and we've got to maintain that. Box beef cutout values were lower, so not a great day for the Packers. Choice cuts down $1.11 at 270, 236. On Wednesday afternoon, selects down $1.34 at 259.37. Slaughter's running at a good pace, but as we get to the end of the week, we're going to get right in there Good Friday and Easter, and it's going to hold it up quite a bit. So we're not going to have a big week, but we've been rolling pretty good so far this week. Up through Wednesday, 375,000. That's 4,000 more than last week, which was huge, and 29,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday set at 155.93, up another 46 cents. Tell you what, among right in the face of these higher inputs, grains up every day. We're gaining ground on our feeder cattle. There's not many feeder cattle selling right now. They're just lighter receipts. We've just about run out of all of them. They're all on feed already. That's why we have these big numbers on feed. We've got less total cattle, I'll promise you, and it's way less than what we've been told and been shown in USDA data, and you guys know that pay attention when you're talking to people or driving around the country. But let's talk about your big sales on Wednesday, which were not very big. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, only 5,200 head for the two-day sale compared to 8,100 head same week a year ago. Feeders $2 to $5 higher. Now that's big. Early in the week on the Monday to start the week out, we had our big high volume sales. quite a bit lower on feeders because we just didn't see how the board could respond. The board's up pretty good for 2 or 3 days. Feeders $2 to $5 higher in El Reno, Oklahoma. Calves were $2 to $4 lower. Stockers about steady, but again, not a whole lot of stockers available. Guys have already sold them and got in on that prime demand right before April the 15th, which tomorrow, that's when your turnout date is for most of your big grazing areas there in the Osage and in the Flint Hills. But a stick-out sale in El Reno, Oklahoma, 158 head of steers, weighed 772 at 164.50. Big time quote. Winter livestock, Dodge City, Kansas, only about 1,600 head of feeder cattle there in Dodge City. Feeders were $2 to $6 higher, I saw there. Calves were kind of uneven in a light test. How about Bloomfield Livestock Market in Bloomfield, Iowa? 1,800 head of feeders there at Bloomfield. That's the Schooley family sale. And look at this market report, automated market report. Your best tested weights, 330 head of 760-pound steers, averaged 164.80. 344 head of your 8-weight steers in Bloomfield, average weight 821 pounds, weighted average price 159.61 on all those steers that they had in Bloomfield. How about a heifer quote? 384 head, 6-weight heifers, average 676 at $150 even. How about some other quotes around? How about Hardin County stockyards in Savannah, Tennessee? You know, you think that they sell them all one at a time there. No, those southeastern producers are learning to add value to their cattle by keeping them, getting them long time weaned, getting them worked, putting loads together. They sold a short load, 51 head, 627-pound steers in Savannah, Tennessee at 172.10 standing in the ring. Big time quote. But the best quotes and the hottest sale that I saw anywhere on Wednesday was at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. They had a hot fat cattle market earlier in the week. On Tuesday, we knew that the direct trade on your fats was going to be a bunch higher because Yankton sold the fats a bunch higher there at their big fat cattle auction. They've got a great feeder cattle auction too there. How about feeder steers steady to $3 higher, and heifers? Calves were not really well tested, but look at all these big time quotes come out of Stockman's Livestock in Yankton. Of their 9-weight steers, there was 810 head of 9-weight steers in Yankton. They averaged 958 with a weighted average price of 148.83. That was $3 higher on the weighted average than last week. They had 104 head in one string, weighed 1,062 pounds at 144.85. Now, how are you going to cheapen them up? You just got to sit and pray for the fat cattle market to get higher to get you out. How about 95 head, 672-pound grazers likely at 192 in Yankton. 103 head of 857-pound steers bring 164.50. I mean, a hot sale in Yankton. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday indeed come out of Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota. Giral Grow, top quote for the day. It was 208 head, 932-pound steers for $156.75. You can't beat old money and free corn. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.